Hey, sweet girl. I have some sad news to share. I've tried to film this now twice, and I haven't been able to process this myself, so articulating it all is difficult, and I feel like my brain starts going in a million different directions. So I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. Apologies in advance if this is kind of all over the place. Like I said, I'm still processing this information, and honestly, when I get sad, bad news, it's actually in my personality to go inside myself and to work through it internally before sharing it, or before like putting myself out there. But I know that talking to people always makes me feel better, and talking to you guys always makes me feel better. So we found out some pretty potentially devastating news about Miss Elsie on Friday. So my last vlog that I posted was I filmed that last Thursday, and I had mentioned getting an appointment, a doctor's appointment for Elsie, because she was throwing up everywhere. And I seemed pretty frustrated, but honestly, I wasn't expecting anything bad, because my mom has a bunch of cats and they tend to throw up, and it's their like weird way of showing aggression and like being territorial. And so I thought that's what Elsie was doing, or I chalked it up to maybe a food issue or a dental issue. Elsie has had surgery in the past to remove kidney stones, and she's had dental work before and like had teeth removed. So I just figured like, oh, maybe one of those things are happening. I don't know. We also like weren't able to bring her to the vet last year because of COVID and like the financial restraints that we were experiencing. And so I just figured like, okay, let's bring her, let's see what's going on. I'm sure it's nothing bad. And for those of you who maybe don't know, Elsie has been my cat now for 14, almost 15 years. So that's like nearly half my life. And if you don't have a pet or have never like had that connection with an animal before, Elsie's it's been her and I. We've been like two peas in a pod for years and years and years. Any of my friends will tell you that. It's always been her and I. And I've known her. She's been my cat since before I even met Jeff. And she's the first animal that I've mothered that has been like my little baby. And they always say that, like after you have kids, you don't look at your pets the same. It's a different type of love. But for me, like after I had my kids, I just felt a deeper love for Elsie, because it was like, oh wow, I appreciate all of the lessons that I've learned before I had kids, just mothering her. And now like how amazing that I have these beautiful human babies and I have my little fur baby. So I brought her to the doctor on Friday, and luckily my mom was with me. She had taken off work that day, and Jeff was working from home, so he was home with the boys. And because of COVID, they come out to your car and take the cat and bring your cat inside. And the doctor called me from inside, and she said that she had really awful news, which again, like I'm still not, I don't know. I'm in the denial stage of everything, and I'm still having a really hard time processing all of the information. So she told me that she had palpated and she felt a mass in her lower abdominal region, and she thinks the mass is cancerous, and she thinks that the mass is obstructing her small intestine, which is why Elsie is like not eating and having a hard time keeping anything down. So like all of that is a lot to take in, and she said that the three options we have moving forward are either A, taking her to a specialist and having an ultrasound done, potentially having a biopsy done, seeing what type of cancerous mass this is, if it's a benign, if it's not, how to proceed forward, surgery, all that stuff. The second option would be to put her on an oral steroid in hopes that would slow or stop the growth of the mass. But apparently you need to be careful with steroids in cats because it can cause heart failure or like bring heart failure on. And the last option is, of course, letting go of your cat. Can't. So that was a lot to digest, and we talked through each option, and it's been, since then, it's been hard. So what we're gonna do moving forward is I made an appointment with a specialist to get an ultrasound done on Elsie's abdomen, and the soonest they could get me in was in about 2 weeks. And the doctor said that, like, just to keep an eye out for her, obviously, if she's showing signs of distress. She said that, like, with cats are very good at masking their symptoms, and they're very good at not letting on to the fact that they don't feel good. And I sort of noticed that in Elsie, especially since we got home from the doctor's appointment. She hasn't thrown up as much, which has almost like led me into a false sense of security and like made me, I don't know, lean on my inability to really accept this information as fact, because she all of a sudden now like is only throwing up, like isn't really throwing up / only throwing up like a little bit, maybe like once a day. And so, I mean, the reason I want to get the ultrasound done is not to deny, sorry, my battery died. Essentially, all I was about to say was that I can't make a huge life-altering decision, like one to put Elsie down, without getting a little bit more information. So that's what we're gonna do. We will get we'll get the ultrasound done and hopefully get some more information and then proceed from there. And it's been a really mentally draining few days. Like I said, luckily my mom and my husband were here, and so I was able to be surrounded by people that day that I was feeling just like so overwhelmingly sad. And yeah, I'm definitely in the denial stage. It's hard for me to even think about, or, you know, like let alone really talk about. But obviously, as Elsie's mama, I want to do whatever is in her best interest. And so if that means, if she's in a lot of pain, if the road is going to be a really rough one, and if the best decision for her is to let her go, then, you know, I can and I will make that decision. So anyway, I wanted to fill you guys in, because it's like this now looming cloud over my head, and the date of her ultrasound is like this really scary day that's coming up. So yeah, it's obviously something that is going to be on my mind for the next few weeks. And just day-to-day life, I'm keeping an extra eye on her, because she's having a harder time eating, because she's throwing up. And the doctor did say that it's the mass that she felt, it could rupture. So to keep an eye on her, because if that did happen, it would be very painful and I would need to rush her to the emergency room. So like all of that is just in my head. And yeah, so I wanted to let you guys know and just keep you updated. So if you could say a little prayer for Miss Elsie, that would be great. And yeah, I'm hoping for a miracle. I'm hoping that like the doctor didn't feel correctly, or what she felt isn't what she thinks it is, and that maybe it's just a mass, or just like a lump that isn't cancerous. I'm being very cautiously optimistic. Yeah. So anyway, that's the update. And I'll keep you guys in the loop if anything else happens or changes and stuff. So yeah, say a little prayer for Miss Elsie. I love you, and I'll see you guys soon.